What's up? What's up, guys? Straight from the chest. My name is Justin Groth, and thank you for tuning in with me on another Wednesday Wrath. I'm so thankful to have you guys listening, giving me your ear, and just letting me do what I do, guys. This is just, for me, on my end, this is what I try to deliver. I try to deliver some elements that you can feed into your life, that you can use to extract your purpose and the passion that lays dormant within you. Most likely lays dormant, right? Most of the time, that's the thing that we have the most struggle with, is finding our direction in life and navigating through the weeds. And that's really what this podcast is really centered around. That's the crux behind this podcast. And hopefully I can give you some enrichment in that path and personal developing yourself. And that's really what the whole onset of this podcast is for. That's the onset of this podcast. And so with that, guys, if you're new to the podcast, thank you and welcome. For all my veteran listeners, I very much appreciate you as always. And guys, we like to do a segment on this podcast called We're Not Friends. And truth be told, this segment I've actually wanted to do for the last 3 months. But every time I end up doing it, or I go in to do it, something else fogs that particular element and brings a new thing to life, and that seems like it's more inspiring at the moment, or it's hitting me harder at that moment. So that's why this one always gets pushed back to the back. But today is the day that we do it, because it has to be said. And you know what? You may be this person. Well, you probably are this person if we're not friends. But guys, we're not friends if you throw a temper tantrum in your car when I, let's say, cut you off maybe a little bit. Or when I, let's say, go in front of you and take your spot. Maybe if I'm driving and let's say I don't signal and I turn, or we're at a cross section and you're gonna turn or I'm gonna turn, and you throw your hands up like you're throwing a little. Let me be honest with you. You're not four, so don't act four in your car. Don't throw a temper tantrum like you're an infant in your car when you're an adult. That's not what we do. If you're an adult, don't throw your hands off the steering wheel. Keep your hands on the steering wheel, and if anything, just honk your horn. I'd rather you show some aggression than some passive aggressive type shit. Just honk your horn, or I'd rather you yell out the window at me instead. Don't throw your hands up like a little infant that didn't get their way. What is that gonna do? What is that gonna do? It just makes you look like an ass, dude. And I know I'm the ass for cutting you off in the first place. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get sidetracked and I'm not paying attention 100% on the road, and that happens. Or maybe I didn't know whose right of way it is and I took it instead, and maybe it was yours. I'm sorry, okay? But you throwing your hands off of the steering wheel is not gonna make that situation any better. It's just gonna make you look like a little infant that didn't get their way. And I hope you feel like a little kid at that moment, like that little kid that didn't get their candy. Throw their hands up. Relax. Take a deep breath. Maybe curse me under your tongue. Curse me under your breath, whatever that saying is. Just curse me, yell out the window at me, throw your finger up at me. I'd rather have that than you just being all passive aggressive like a little kid, throw your hands up off the steering wheel. Stop. Relax. Anyways. So earlier this morning I had a client, because that's what I do. I train people. I have clients. And one of my clients was, at the end of the session, we were kind of just having some small talk as she was leaving. And she says, "So you heard about that coronavirus, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And she says, "So they just found a case in San Diego, first case in San Diego." And I gotta be completely honest with you, I don't really care. And I don't really care because, and I didn't tell her this, I told her this to some effect, but I didn't tell it like this. And I'm telling you this. I don't really care. And the reason why I don't really care is not because it hasn't hit me or any of my family members yet, because I'm sure that maybe the fear factor would go up a little bit then. But really only then will the fear somewhat set in. I will still not let the fear take residence over my life, even in that regard. Even if it hits home, I still wouldn't allow it. And something that's so far away, I don't care if it's in the next city, I don't care if it's in Oceano. For those of you who are, I don't know, from Nebraska or Alaska listening to me, Oceano is literally 4 minutes down the road from me. So if it hit in a small town nearby, I still wouldn't really care or put much attention on it, because it's one of those things that can considerably handicap you if you allow it. It's one of those things that also you have no control over. You have no control over a pandemic, epidemic, any-demic out there. You have literally no control. So why, consistently watch it, consume it, follow it? Why would you do those things? You have no control over it anyways. The only people that have any type of control over the situation are A, God, and B, the scientists that are trying to find a cure for this or a vaccine for it. You're worthless. You're worthless in this regard. You have no control. Why would you consume yourself with it and allow fear to rid your body and your psyche at the same time? And so this is what I told her. I said, in the element that it was to manifest, that is the only time, then is the only time that you would really have an authority to have some type of fear associated with that thing, that virus. But up until that point, live your life. Live your life. And the reason why I say live your life is because if you allow something like this to take residence and consume you, it will. And the fear will consume you. The fear will handicap you. And sooner or later, before you know it, you're being unproductive with your day. You're giving more light, more energy, more consumption to something that doesn't even exist with you. And even though it exists in the form, in this world, it exists, even though that's the case, it has not hit you. And even if it were to, you have no jurisdiction over it. You have no control over it. Why would you allow it to consume your thoughts, to consume your time, to consume your energy? It's just paralyzing you. And I can tell you one thing. And the same thing I told her, the one thing that I believe that is a prime, I guess I'm trying to find my words. There's a prime reason behind this, or the thing that the element that the enemy loves the most is that it is causing a fear and a restriction on you. It's causing you to pull back. It's causing you to worry, to fear. And I'm telling you, this is going to cause you to be unproductive. And it's going to cause you to dwell. And it's going to cause you to recede in your life in multiple avenues. You don't see it right now. But the more you give energy to this, the more you open up the news, and the more you research this, the more handicapped you're going to become. And it's just going to further you from fulfilling your purpose. This is not to say that you don't pay it any homage or give it respect because it is what it is. But up until if it does hit you, relax, let it go, because you can't do anything about it anyways. This is just reality. This is true life. You can't do anything anyways. So fall back and just continuously do you. When I say do you, I mean delve into who you are, extract your purpose, and continually facilitate on that. That's the only thing that should matter in your life. Because once the purpose is laid and you have your mission and you're navigating with God, then everything else will fall into place. But until that point, don't ridden yourself with fear of the unknown. Because let's open our eyes to reality. Everything is unknown. Everything is unknown. You have cancer cells in your body right now. Do you wake up every single day in fear that you might manifest a tumor or higher cancerous properties in your body as a byproduct? No. And you know how I know that? Because you're still smoking, because you're still drinking, because you're still eating like shit. And all those things have cancerous properties associated with them, but you're still doing them. So why would you put fear in something that is miles and miles and miles away from you? The worry, I understand worrying about bills. I understand even though we shouldn't. I understand worrying about the things that we can somewhat control. We can somewhat control a water bill. We can somewhat control our house note. We can somewhat control our car note. We can somewhat control those things by way of making more money because we know the exact dollar amount we have to pay out to clear that note for that month. I understand that. But even then, we're called to not worry. We're called to live in peace. And those things are hard to do. It's so much easier said than done. I get it. But at the same time, the thing that's going to restrict you more and more are the fearful things that you cannot and have no jurisdiction over, i.e. coronavirus, i.e. your favorite team losing the Super Bowl. Let's just go off on a different trajectory here. For those of you who are super fans, you need to relax a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because you have no jurisdiction over what your team does. You have no control over that. You have no control if your team wins the Super Bowl, if your team wins the championship, if your team wins that game. You have no control. They don't know who you are. The team members playing don't even know your name. Why do you let it affect your day? Why? Tell me why. You're a grown man. Why do you allow it to affect your day? Why? I get you love the team. It has some nostalgic properties to it. That's you love the team because your dad and your grandpa love the team. And it's been in your family for years and years and years. I get it. That's why you love the team. You support the team. But why do you let it affect your day? Some people, they're weak when they lose a championship or when they lose a game or whatever. Why do you allow it to affect you viscerally, physically, emotionally, psychologically? Why? I don't get it. I'll never get that. You're a grown man. You need to get your shit together. Seriously. Your team should not affect you. Just like this virus that's miles and miles and cities away should not affect you. If it comes to you, it comes to you. That was clearly your lot in life. But in the process, you don't lose sight of your purpose. You don't lose sight and allow things to handicap you and rid you and constrict you from who you were meant and called to be. That's exactly what the enemy wants. He wants to handicap you, dude. He wants to paralyze you with a fear that's unbeknownst to you. It's uncertain. But guess what? So is the cancer living in your body right now. But do you wake up every day in fear that you might develop a cancer? No, you do not. So why would you allow the faint idea that this coronavirus will take you out and worry about it and give any energy or light to it. It doesn't deserve your light. It deserves to stay in the dark. It deserves to stay in the dark, like all of your other worries that you can't control, including your favorite basketball team. Control the things that you can. Not a very it's not really original to say that. You all understand that. But going on the trajectory that we've been on for the last 9 minutes, realize that you have no control. And that if anything, you need to consistently align yourself with the products that are innate to you, with your abilities and your talents, because that is the only way that you will supersede any kind of fear and bypass any kind of emotional handicap that ends up coming your way, in your direction. When you're facilitating in your purpose, you have, and the reason why I say this is because when you're facilitating in your purpose, you are just instinctively filled with joy, with meaning, with direction. And things like that, they don't hit you. They don't hit you. You don't care as much anymore. But when you have very little, and you don't have a lot going on in your life, you tend to center yourself around frivolous things that mean nothing, that are unknown, that are uncertain. You tend to worry more. That's because your eyes are not on the prize. Your eyes are not facilitating in the direct, proportionate passion that you have inside of you. You're not focusing on that. You're not continuously filling yourself up with the innate energy that you have to facilitate in your practice every single day, and unwinding, extracting that purpose from your soul, because that's the reason why you're worrying so much. If you were driving steadily focused in your passion, you wouldn't care about anything on the side. You wouldn't even care, because you'd be so driven and you'd be so joyful and so purposely positioned in your passion that you wouldn't even care. You wouldn't give it a second glance. And that's probably the reason why I don't give a shit about this coronavirus or any virus or Budweiser virus or Miller Lite virus. I don't give a shit what it is. I'm still facilitating. I'm purpose-filled and driven, and that's it. I'm still guided. I'm still navigated, and I know that at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, I have no control over the things that I think I got control over. None. Zero. Zilch. And neither do you. So my advice is to consistently turn the TV off when you see the news hit you on the coronavirus. Consistently. If you don't like Donald Trump, turn the news off. Don't watch him. Because there's nothing you can do about it anyways. You have no control over the White House. You have no control over the Congress. None. I know you'd like to think so, but you have none. You have no control over what happens with the Lakers and what they do if they make it to the championship. You have no control over who wins the Super Bowl. You have nothing. Nothing. You only have your purpose right now. That is for sure. You have that gift. Your duty is to extract that gift. But you got your mind on a disease and a virus that hasn't even hit you. So how can you extract 100% of what God's giving you when you got your mind on other things? Other futile, frivolous things. You can't. So don't allow those things that mean nothing right now and that have nothing to do with you handicap you. Consistently give your energy to the things that deserve it. And that is and always will be and always consistently will be your purpose, your talent, your calling, why God created you. Done.